All right, it's
What's that?
7:39. I'll call the meeting to order for the regular meeting of the Mount Holly Planning Commission, Wednesday, November 15. It is, we're starting a little late. We just finished our public hearing. Are there any changes to the agenda? Please, no. All right, well, let's consider the agenda approved. We have some minutes.
Yes, from
Remind me what they are, please.
I can't remember which date they were. They were the not the last meeting. Yes, they were the last meeting a month
We didn't
ago.
have a working meeting, right?
Yeah,
So it's just
it
the
was-
last regular meeting.
Last regular meeting, which was October.
Have you had a chance to review them?
I did.
October 18th. Yes, I did as
I would
well.
move approval.
I second it.
Okay, is there any discussion? All in favor of the minute approval?
Aye.
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 All in
Sorry.
favor, thank you. First is, well, actually, the next is the reorganization. Their election of officers, chair, vice chair, and recording secretary, which apparently I think we're going to try to call just secretary. Jesus, call secretary from now on. Is there a nomination for chair?
I nominate John.
I second it.
Any other nominations for chair?
What is the not it?
Is that a not it sign?
What's the not it sign?
That's hiding under the table is
Oh,
what it
okay.
is. Yeah.
Okay, there is one nomination for chair. We just do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Nominations for vice chair.
Nominate Jim.
I'll second it.
Any other nominations
I'll
for
third
vice?
it.
Yeah. If you do four, that's it, right?
You can fourth it. Yeah.
Any other nominations for vice chair? I must say by unanimous consent, Jim is vice chair. Do you accept that? Okay.
Yes.
I'll nominate Andy for secretary.
I'll second.
Talking about that, Andy.
Sorry, Andy Scholes.
Bridge is looking at me like I don't write.
My shorthand is calling you Andrew. So I'll nominate Andrew Scholes for secretary.
I'll second it.
Any other nominations for secretary? All in favor of Andrew for secretary?
Aye.
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 Thank you for your vote of confidence.
All right, thank you for the very speedy election. We have to adopt or re-adopt our rules of procedure and conflict of interest policy. I have suggested a few changes, the majority of which are just some wording changes. Instead of like fancy words like, I don't know, prior. I'd say
Prior
bef-
to, you
Yeah,
changed
it
it
says
to before.
I think it's a little bit more, I don't know.
We got the spelling on sister-in-law, put the dashes
Yeah,
in.
some dashes, but there's at least one or there's two items I think of substance, and that is remind me the electronic email address changes. Oh yeah.
I did not see that. Recording has changed, the recording secretary has changed to just secretary.
Yeah, recording secretary. And Andy made a good point. Like, what does that mean? It's just secretary. Here. Yeah. Addition of a phone number, which I think we all have them anyway. And the reason for that is if there is any need ever to have an emergency meeting, we need to do a phone call. It's actually required. We can't just send out an email. We need to make sure that everybody gets the notice, and that's one where there's a real rapid thing. And if everybody doesn't get it, we can't really hold it. And the reason for that is pretty obvious. We can't hold meetings without telling each other. And then the other part of that is for training. And it's a very meager amount, in my opinion. It's one VLCT training per year. And it's my recommendation that we all do that. And I think that's a really good thing to do. I do many of them a year. and I find them all very worthwhile. Usually in the spring, there's one that's like a basic, here's what a planning commission does one, and they're all available. Either you can attend in real time, or you can just sign up and watch them later. So I think that is the entirety of the changes. Do you remember anything else, Andy?
I don't, and I'll just add that I found it very helpful to participate in a VLCT training, actually two, and it would be a good thing to do even if it weren't in our rules of procedure.
I move approval.
Do we want to have any discussion, or
Oh.
do you want to do?
We gotta have a motion to have a discussion, don't you?
I guess that's true.
I'll second the motion.
That's
Do we want to have any discussion of the changes?
Oh,
You're okay
I didn't
with
get
it?
to read the whole thing, but
Oh, you should.
yeah. Can you read?
But I think we did accurately describe the only changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to let him see that?
I've read it before. Those are just only few
Yeah.
changes.
Please take a moment to look at it. No, it's not intended to be any surprises.
So it's just the crossed out stuff, so the changes.
Yeah. Let
Well,
me see
there's
if I have
the
it here,
lighter
too.
type is the additions.
Yeah.
So the bottom of page 2 has the lighter type saying requiring the phone numbers.
Yeah.
And so that'll tell you what that lets you see what you're looking for.
Let me see if this shows it a little bit more clearly. I don't think it. Oh, you son of a gun. The version I saved doesn't actually keep the red edits.
That's fine. I can see them on here. It's got them crossed out, see? And then it's got the little
Okay, good.
white wording after.
Yeah, it's not that easy to read in black and white.
Yeah, I apologize.
It's pretty.
I think mostly
Very
just
hard. It's just some wording.
stylistic stuff. Yeah.
And with the training, do we get like a certificate after or something that you want us to send you, or?
Well, actually, that's a good question. So I mean, I'm not going to be,
Yeah.
babysitting anybody. But what I think would be helpful is if we could just have a brief discussion about it and share the knowledge, because ideally we don't all go to the same one.
Right.
It would be nice to just have a brief chat about it, 5 minutes in the next meeting. And I think I didn't think it was necessary to kind of police us on that. So I think it's a honor system. And all right. So any more discussion? Everybody good? All right, I'll call the vote on the updated rules of procedure and conflict of interest policy. There's a motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good changes.
Do we have an AO report?
Just a couple of BCRs. One, I did receive one from Alyssa Tilley regarding the general store after the last discussion we had with Dave Tilley.
Regarding the entrance?
Regarding the entrance,
Okay.
although the description of the construction is simply updating entrance to post office. I have emailed her and Dave Tilley and said, please could they provide us electronically any of the drawings or plans that they had. Partly so that we at least have some clearer idea, and also because I think there needs to be this, because they should be talking to the select board, especially regarding the issues with the road and the.
I think we advised them to talk to the select board, did we not?
We did.
We did.
Okay, I wanted to just come that.
But
That doesn't mean they'll do it, but yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The second is one received today from Andy Balarlock regarding his temporary pedestrian bridge on Tarbellville Road. on the property just below the museum to allow access to a walking trail that he's making on that field. The reason for getting this is because I spoke to him, and I think John also spoke to him, because it is in the and it's a bridge over the brook, which is a river corridor and flood hazard area. So he has also today submitted a what I understand to be the first of the flood hazard area permit requests.
Can I ask clarification? He submitted a BCR and flood hazard?
Yes.
Okay, just.
Yeah. I need to review this, and I think I also need to discuss with Kyle Medash about whether this, in my view, I think it's something that I could give administrative approval for, but I do think I need to discuss with Kyle.
A first one, so it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to double check. I do want to be, to clarify my involvement there. I did receive a call from Andy. I didn't reach out to Andy Bilalik. And he said that he needed to talk to me about this. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. and please follow up with Faith. So that was basically all I said. I haven't even seen it, believe it or not. I don't go down that way that often.
Okay. It was after I saw it that
That you reached out to him?
yeah.
Okay.
Because I thought about that and I thought, I wonder how that's.
Yeah. I intend to have no involvement in that, just so everyone knows. So I'll leave that to you. I think personal opinion, reaching out to Kyle is a good idea. All right, good. Thank you. Anything else?
No.
Any emails?
No. Sorry, there was one email which came initially to the Planning Commission, which you forwarded to
over,
me,
I think, yeah.
just regarding whether there was any zoning requirements. So
Yeah, I
I
can't
sent
remember what it was.
the
Okay, great.
BCR and the homeowner guide.
That's why you have these two.
Okay, anything else?
Nothing from my side.
Okay. I have, I think, basically just two or three. So I don't remember. I think at the last meeting we had finalized the Belmont plan, but I don't know. But it was essentially by default finalized because the grant had to be submitted. The final version of that plan was the one that the consultant worked on last, and that grant is now closed. So I did the write-up on the closeout of that, and it was accepted. So that's good news. We got our final requisition from the state, so we're made whole.
So that's for the old grant.
FY22
Okay.
planning grant. That was the survey in Belmont.
Okay.
Also, at the request of the select board, I did the entirety of the application for the new planning grant,
Okay.
which is so I have since learned that in planning grants, the grant admin and or writer is not able to be paid through the grant, which is something that we may want to consider in our revisions to the town plan in the next weeks or so, because I think it was the understanding, at least my understanding, that would be one way to fund town work is through grants. Been very clearly informed that that is not possible. I asked the state grant specialists, okay, well, how on earth do towns do this without staffing? And I think there was a question tonight about this. I don't believe we ever recommended that we have a full-time staff person for grant writing, but what the state did recommend and what the other towns seem to do is as needed hire out the task, and ideally to someone in town.
But then how do you pay for it?
You have to pay for it with town
money.
Town money. So it would have to be. I don't know how you budget for things that are sporadic.
Well, they could put in $5,000 or $10,000 for a grant writer, and then it gets used or it doesn't get used.
Right,
What?
and I will volunteer. You know, as someone who has now written a couple of these or been involved in administrating one or more of these, it's a significant amount of work.
Oh, yeah.
And I makes me greatly sympathetic and very appreciative of just Jeff Chase doing this for the town for
Yeah.
tons of infrastructure
Yeah.
projects. And he hasn't asked me to say any of this, but it seems to me, and I know it's very difficult because he's a select board member, but if someone were to do that job, I think the town should be paying in some way. I mean, this is real work and real time away from your family for this stuff. So I think that's it for my updates. I don't think there's anything else major other than the plan here, right? Anybody know of anything else that they want to? I think that was it. Was there anything at the select board meeting that oh, well, okay. We all know about EMS.
Yeah.
Well, where is
Pick
it?
that out when we
I
have
don't
the
know what
meeting.
about. I mean, I know that they.
We're going to have to revise that somehow. But the trick on that is they haven't signed a contract yet, so we won't know a couple of the details. So we may have to leave it somewhat vague.
Oh, I see Ludlow ambulance up at town the other day. So.
Well, they are responding, but we don't have a contract yet. And I think I'll leave it there for updates, and we can address the rest of it as we go forward. I don't think I have any correspondence to relate. One email that came in I was CC'd on it as well as Carol in some of our inquiries relating to the transportation map. It came up in our discussions with Ethan from the Regional Planning Commission that some of the mileage seemed to be
Oh, yeah.
erroneous, have some errors in it, specifically on Stewart Road. And the state, the AOT, the VTrans folks have reached out to Carol to try to get the town to resolve that. And I don't know exactly where that's going to go. It might just be the listers or the highway crew measuring with a stick or whatever. So that's the only other email I have. I think next order of business is where we go from here on the town plan. I don't think there's a whole lot we can do tonight. There are some quick things we could probably discuss, but I think we'll be receiving some more emails from the way it sounded tonight, and we'll probably want to digest those in the next couple of days. What I think we should do is have a special meeting in 2 weeks' time where we can really dig into it. And what I'll try to do in the meantime is make some concrete proposals for ways that we might address it. And then we can hash it out in 2 weeks. And with any luck, maybe even get to a point where we agree.
So you're
But I don't
saying on
think
the
we can
29th?
actually, I think we'll need 2 weeks for that. Firstly, because I almost said Halloween, Thanksgiving is next week. And I don't think we'll get all the comments until I think I said the end of the week. So that'll leave enough time to get you guys a draft. I would say a few days in advance, ideally. So that would be what, the 29th.
Yeah.
So let's say 7 o'clock again, or should we start a little earlier to give us a little time?
I'd say a little earlier just so that,
It's dark early enough now. Should we say 6? Because I don't feel like being up late, as we have been lately. The last time we had a real working session, we started at 6 and it worked fine. So why don't we try 6 o'clock on the 29th? I think, it might be worth mentioning to you, let's see, how do I have them? That I have gotten some concrete suggestions from a couple of people. And I bet you I'll be very annoyed if it doesn't show the changes in this. Oh, you stinker. Oh, that's really unhelpful. So how do you get Word to export a PDF with your red lines in it? Does anybody know?
You can't, I don't know. You mean to save a Word document as a PDF with?
that's what I do.
You would just save it as a PDF and it should show the red lines.
I don't know. It didn't for some reason. Shoot. Let me see if I can open the PDF here. I don't know if I don't have Word on here, but I might be able to do it.
On my computer, which is different from yours, you can, when you go to print a Word document, you have the option to make it a PDF, and that's
Well,
how I
and
do
also
it.
you can print it with the changes.
Changes in it.
I must have
Right.
selected.
Highlighted or-
I must have
or-
selected to merge the changes or something. All right. Well, let me see if I can pull up the PDF real quick, and then I wanted to throw a couple things at you real quick and see if we're in general right direction, specifically with the EMS and. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do.
What was up with the road situation too?
Yeah, so I have some suggestions. Annie and I were discussing that too, on how to make that a little bit clearer. So let me pull that up. Firstly, town plan draft. I hope it'll come up. So, and I'll limit this discussion to, we'll say like at most a half hour. We'll get out of here by 8:30. You're hoping to get out of here sooner.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll do it quick, as quick as we can.
Susan Hamilton.
Shaking her head, yes.
Oh.
That 203 number.
Was Susan
Was that
Hamilton?
Susan?
The internet says that's hers.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, it might. I better not.
I didn't know you could look up phone numbers.
So sometimes,
It works.
if you put the phone number in, you'll get a lot of garbage, but sometimes
You get a name.
you'll get a name. I think it depends on what's public or not.
That makes sense. She's
It's all Greek to me.
Yeah.
I can dial.
All right, so
That's it.
I'm not going to try to put this up on the screen or anything. So we have various places where we refer to rescue squad, and for many of them, I think we just strike them out. So we have one where the town should work with the fire department and rescue squad to determine requirements for new facilities. Take rescue squad out. I think it's fine. That would be my opinion. Here's some proposed text for.
well. Wait, what is going to happen to the rescue squad building?
Well, that's a different thing. So let me.
That's still up in the air.
It's still up in the
For the
air.
time being.
So I guess we should just say something like, because of the recent changes or loss of the local rescue squad, we need to. The town's going to have to figure out what they're going to do with that building.
I think something along those lines.
Okay.
I can tell you what I heard at the last meeting. Was any of you at that last meeting?
Last
Yeah.
night, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so
It's still up in the air.
it's up in the air.
yeah, so the fire department wants to
Right.
take it on, but they can't until
The notice period is up, which I
yeah.
think is the end of the month.
Yeah, it's 30
All right. So here's something.
If they're relinquishing the lease or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Something
Okay, so we had a little section in emergency services. Okay, so Mount Holly Rescue, blah blah blah. I suggest we strike the entire paragraph and replace it with ambulance and EMS services provided by contract with the Ludlow Ambulance Service since, we were fudging a little, December 2023. After staffing shortages resulted in the dissolution of the Mount Holly Rescue Squad after 49 years of service to the town.
Well, the only thing with that, John, is there's no contract
I
with
know.
Ludlow yet.
I know. That's why I said we're fudging a little.
It's a lot.
But we're
Yeah,
making
I
an assumption that it would be in
I
December.
wouldn't assume
Don't assume.
I'm assuming what?
that that's going to be signed. I would leave it blank. I would leave.
Well, I think we could say expected to be or something like that. And then if it's not,
is under consideration.
or something like that.
Well, you could also say that Ludlow is providing services at this time.
There you go.
Yes,
Okay.
that
Without
is
saying
correct.
anything about a
And
contract.
that way there's no misunderstanding.
And that will
Yeah.
still be true
What-
even if there's a contract at the
Right.
time.
What if I say ambulance and EMS service is currently provided by Ludlow Ambulance Service since November 2023?
Yeah.
I think
And you
That's
could
good.
also add into
So I'll just take out
that
contract.
regional is backing them up.
Okay. I'll just remove the contract then. So, and,
You know,
and,
you wanna
and if the
get
select board
that-
wants to add that back in later, then okay. All right, good. So
Oh, yeah. but
Everybody
even
agree
if-
with that?
Even if we are contracted with them, that they're
don't
still
have
gonna
to
be providing the service.
providing.
Yeah, you don't
is
have
So
to
it doesn't
say.
really matter if it says contract or not.
Oh,
The post office provides us postal service, but we're not contracted with.
Yeah.
oh my God, I did it again.
Some of the service, I wish they did.
yeah, I'm not sure that it's actually fair to say they're providing service.
Well, okay. Yeah,
That they purport to provide service.
they allege.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I can't
This is a
believe
public
it.
meeting,
Andy,
guys.
I edited
Sorry.
it. I edited it again by accident. I'm gonna shoot myself.
Yeah,
This thing is such a mess.
I-
Like,
let's talk about
Yeah.
that.
oh yeah.
Don't.
No, I just spent 3 hours today rewriting all the changes. So okay. Anyway, I'll do it again
You
tonight.
could say you can get it back.
Undo.
Yeah, you can just
Undo.
or can you not get to an earlier version?
No, there's
No.
something about the way Google
It
handles
corrupts
a Word
it
document.
corrupts the Word document.
Yeah, once
Well,
you.
don't write it in Google. Write it out.
I wasn't. Anyway. That's why I'm mad.
That's
right
why
now.
he's so
This is like,
upset.
son of a gun.
You are in a public meeting.
Son of a gun is not bad.
Could be worse.
Are we actually online?
Peter, are we on?
Nobody is on, and so it just shows you when
Oh.
there's no joiners.
There's no one showing at
But
all.
it's being recorded.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
that's
the
it.
TV was turned off.
Do you want the TV on? It just shows you.
No.
No, we don't.
Exactly.
We don't need that.
That's a scary thought.
I break that son of a gun.
Nobody needs to see us really, honestly.
See my ugly mug up there? Probably cracked.
Oh, son of a gun! I did it again.
I wasn't agreeing with you. I was saying mine also.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a few other sort of changes in that sort of general area of like not saying a rescue. Peter Smith suggested that we not call the woolly mammoth a fossil. It's not. He's right. It's not actually a fossil, and I think striking this sort of line about undoubtedly more fossils remain. I think it's
Who knows?
who cares.
Yeah, I mean, I think the comments that people are giving that don't impact the plan should be just accepted for the most part.
Right.
If they don't impact an outcome, and then we
There
can.
was a saber-toothed tiger tooth down there, Bridget. What if there was?
No,
So
I'm just
Peter
saying-
also had suggested saying instead of altitude, use elevation, and he's I think 100% right. Another change I wanted to make is that there's stylistically like there's a apostrophe inconsistency that I'll fix up. And geez, this thing doesn't make it easy to see what the changes are, does it? Do you remember some of the other ones that?
Sorry.
Do you remember some of the other ones that we were
Changes.
that were obvious ones?
Peters?
Oh, any of them?
No, I don't actually remember. It's I'm too old.
There weren't
and it's
that
too late in
many
the evening.
so far.
Still early.
This thing, I can't believe that just happened. Oh, yeah, okay, this is a kind of interesting one. Liz and other members of the school community informed me that it's not the PTA anymore, it's the parent-teacher group, which is an interesting backstory because apparently if you are a PTA, you have to pay dues to the national
Yes,
organization.
everybody's PTSA or PT.
So
Something
the
else
parent-teacher
Or
group.
Yeah.
PTSD.
Yeah,
That
so that was helpful to know. I think there was one other thing like that. Somebody corrected the name of something or other. What are these? Oh yeah. See, it doesn't show me the actual changes though. That makes it very difficult. What I'm suggesting right now is that we remove so that there's a question at the select board meeting and again tonight about the language about maintenance of town roads, or specifically class 4 roads, in the recreation section. And I suggest, and I think Andy is in agreement, that we remove this from the recreation section since it's really not relevant to how you recreate, the maintenance part of it at least, and suggest that they see also highways and legal trails.
Somebody suggested that tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also consistently calling them highways rather than sort of flopping back and forth between highways and roads.
Well, I mean, Dennis is going to want it called the Ground Point Road, I believe, because that's the official.
But that's not
There
a
is
town highway.
Right, there is no highway that relates to that.
So I mean, you have highways and you have private drives or private roads and driveways, and then the Crown Point Road is a
Yeah.
historical feature, really, not a.
Right. So I think
Historical military road.
And actually, in Plymouth at least, it's a trail.
I think it is in Mount Holly,
Do you
too.
think it is?
Well, yeah, you can't drive on it anywhere,
No,
I don't
yeah.
believe,
No.
but it's still called the Crown Point Road, cause
Yeah.
that's what it was. But
Yeah.
there's part of it in Shrewsbury that's still road, there's Crown Point Road.
Yeah, it's on
Right.
roads at some points, and
Right.
sometimes it's not.
And then so down in transportation, as a sort of a result of that, I suggest that we call consistently, instead of saying we have a highways and roads section now, and that was just the template from Ethan basically. I suggest we call it highways and legal trails so that we're using the terms consistently. And I'm also suggesting we move, and these are sort of fine details, I guess, but defined RRPC where it's first used and VTrans where it's first used. You don't need to necessarily write all these down first. I mean, there's just the details here. We'll have a draft soon. And then say at the outset of the highways subchapter, highways are public roads. Okay, so we're kind of defining the term a little bit there. And then
Well,
we
but so it starts as roads constitute the most significant component
But I
of
think we want to change
change
that
it
to
to
say
highways
highways.
are
Okay.
public roads that,
Okay.
yeah. So, and then here in the Mount Holly does not have any class 1 highways paragraph. Add this, which will hopefully help the select board with their discomfort, so that it would now read, however, the town is responsible for the maintenance and management of all class 2 and 3 highways, and also for class 4 highways to the extent that it undertakes to do so through a policy adopted by the select board. In other words, saying it's up to the select board's policy and how they want to maintain those roads. And then sort of moving down from recreation, another sentence that was, like I said, up in the previous chapter, legal trails are public rights of way for which the town has no statutory maintenance or repair obligations. So where class highways, class 2 through 4, have it's up to the select board. There can be some, there can be less. The legal trails were basically off the hook right from the get-go. And there's no ambiguity about that. I'm also suggesting we have this next paragraph that starts off with roads are one of the primary drivers. I suggest moving that down so that we go right into this disclosure part. So start that paragraph with the sentence we already have, essentially. Property owners who sell, and I think this will help with the clarity on the maintenance responsibilities as well. Property owners who sell property on a class 4 highway or legal trail are required to disclose to the buyer that the town is not required to and must not be expected to maintain or upgrade the road or trail.
John,
Added the reference for it.
what's the correct reference?
So they're both, the other reference was valid, but the more specific one is 24 VSA 617. And I think that language, it was buried in that paragraph, and now would be the start. I think that's pretty helpful too for somebody reading this. That the do not expect, and I think this is, a fair criticism from the select board, like that we may have been giving people ammo or something to ask the town to maintain roads that we would not like to. Reading very carefully through statute, especially in the last day or so, the select board is given quite a bit of authority to determine to the extent to which the town maintains these kinds of roads.
You said 24 VSA 617?
27 VSA.
Oh, you said 24.
Habit. That's our ruling document, 24 VSA. So that's chapter 117.
27.
617
Yeah.
is what he said.
And then the next action item, and I think this sort of we're putting all this stuff in the same place now. We had, I think, all the raw pieces. I think it's just the messaging maybe wasn't quite as strong as it could have been. The next action is the town should fully develop and implement a policy for Class 4 highways and legal trails that considers and or conforms to other goals of this plan. And this is a suggestion from Andy that I think helps a lot, in that defines the extent to which the town is willing to undertake their repair and maintenance. I think hopefully that should put the issue to bed.
Wait, we just said that the town is not required to maintain.
So this is where nuance comes into play.
Unless they develop a policy.
Unless
to
they
do
have
so.
a policy that says they will.
And there is, and I don't know
But you're saying
how
the town should fully develop one.
a policy.
Yeah, it states how we are going to. It could be a policy saying we're not going to,
Right.
correct?
Or it could say we're going to only to this extent.
Yeah.
Like if we have funds available or
Or for this reason.
I'll wait until I read it.
This section of it, or
Okay.
we're
Right.
not going to do any of it.
Or A, you can do road A, but not B, and Y, and so on. Yeah. So, there are lots of there's a rabbit hole here.
Let's-
you don't want to go into.
I don't want to go into it
Okay. Well,
tonight.
there's a rabbit hole.
We're
in it.
gonna have
The rabbit hole
language
is-
and we'll look
The
at it.
rabbit hole is bridges. So we'll skip it for now. How and when bridges are maintained. Huh? The rabbit hole is bridges? Yeah. Just a sentence? Oh. A bridge to another world. And then moving that previous paragraph down, that was the so anyway, you'll see how this looks, and I think it makes more sense, and I think it'll help alleviate some of the concerns, but maybe not all of them. I think that's most. I'm so mad. I can't believe I ruined that again.
I have a question.
Yep.
So the minutes from this evening's meeting,
From the public hearing.
from the public hearing, sorry, I can prepare those tomorrow. Do you want, I'll put in as much detail as I can in terms of where people specifically said.
Do you want what I wrote also?
Sure, yeah. And there's the recording too.
Oh, that's
But presumably you will add that to whatever has come in writing or to earlier comments.
Yeah, I think it probably makes sense to just make a file with the emails so that they are comments, as they may not, I don't know if they're as official as if they were read at the meeting, but, you know, I've asked them to send them
You
as,
did.
as an order, you know, so.
They are official because you
Yeah.
asked them to send them.
Well, the ones that we've received ahead of time, I think were also invited through the notice,
Yeah.
for people that weren't in attendance or didn't want to read. So yeah, I think we can put them all, basically add them to the minutes folder, the binder.
Okay.
And they'll be there for the public record. Are there things that you all think we should look into changing as a result of what you heard tonight, based on your initial, you know, assessment?
Well, I think there are a number of very, you know, well, as you said, John, specific things that don't really go to the, you know, the policies or preferences expressed in the town plan, like, you know, how we label Okemo Mountain or Ludlow Mountain, things like that. We should try to accommodate those kinds of things to the extent that they're accurate. We should make those changes. I think there may be some more substantive suggestions that bear looking at more closely. There may be ways to accommodate some concerns in the language that we use.
I mean, David Johnson gave us a great one saying, you know, if you just have a description of the shall, a modifier.
Well, he used the example he liked where it said shall continue to do something. He thought that made it, softened it somehow, I think, and should consider, he thought adding consider there was, you know, made it improved.
I think that the continue part, my understanding of that was he liked that it didn't portray the town as being deficient.
Understood.
Like, I think that maybe he was sensitive to the fact that maybe when we try to include so many things that we might need help doing, it makes the town look like we are
Not doing things that
doing
we should
enough. Right.
Right. I took that to be his meaning too, and so there may be ways we can address those kinds of concerns. But I think there are quite a few of those, and I think we'll need to think on them a bit.
Right. And hopefully the emails and you know, maybe some, I don't know if David has an annotated version that he'd be happy, you know, willing to share with us. It'd be, you know, some direction would be helpful so we could narrow in on those cases. Because, you know, there are quite a few things. If we're just kind of looking for them, it might take us a while. So hopefully the emails and whatnot will help us get there.
Peter have a comment?
Did you have something, Peter?
Yeah, a little bit. Hard to put in words, but, and therefore, I would put more weight in the emails. I know when people get up and talk, sometimes they talk in a direction and then they end mid-sentence and start talking in another direction. It gets very confusing, and sometimes I don't know if they're giving an example of what they like or don't like when they say something. Some people are very unclear when they're talking. For example, when someone said, brought up the example of should consider, I wasn't clear if they're saying that use of the word should wasn't in alignment with the usage of all the other shoulds, because in all the other uses, should is strong and more legal, whereas when you say should consider, suddenly the word consider makes it softer.
Should is equally soft either way it's said, right? It's shall is
Shall
more-
consider is,
shall
I
is
think, where it was.
Okay.
more
Yeah.
legal, and should, I mean, should and consider, if you put consider after it, it doesn't really make it any softer than it already is.
Okay, so the word shall is the
Yeah.
strong
Yeah.
writing
Well,
word.
Yes.
I agree with what you just said, Andrew, but I would add something to it, which is that when you say someone or the town should consider something, it's suggesting a deliberative process that should take place. That might involve study of the issues or a hearing of different views. So I think they are both soft words, and saying consider doesn't make should any softer, but I think it suggests, like with the 1%.
Room and meals tax.
Yes. We should consider that, meaning let's study what that means. Is it worth it? Will it be a burden on, will it reduce people coming to stay in Mount Holly to the detriment of, property or business owners, or would the revenue make it, a substantial difference? There are issues to be considered. To me, there's a distinction there.
And Dennis was in error when he said that Ludlow had one, because they do not, unless they just adopted it this last 2 weeks.
It was proposed.
It was proposed many years ago.
No, recently, but I don't know if they voted on it.
Okay.
But I don't know the full answer on that. There was sort of various pieces of misinformation that I didn't try to correct, so we'll have to sort of sort through that.
Right.
And take it with the grain of salt or whatever.
And to say there are a few B&Bs, there are a lot of Airbnbs, a lot.
Right.
Like 75 to 100 of us,
Yeah.
with a lot of room nights.
My final comment is night skies should be dark with the light of the moon and the stars.
We ain't had much of that lately.
Obviously, personal opinion.
I'm with you.
So
I will try to remember, if I have a moment, to see if I can get from the state of Vermont how much revenue is generated through the room and meals tax.
$50 million.
No,
at least,
in Mount Holly. I
Oh,
mean.
in Mount Holly. Statewide, it's massive.
Nobody's done that, have they, yet?
Do we
No.
need that for the purpose of
I
this
don't know
plan?
that. Yeah, that would be interesting, I guess.
We'd be interested.
We don't need
No,
that.
but-
So let me say this, because I think this is sort of relevant to what you were both saying. Is one nice thing about saying consider in our recommendations is, I would hope that this document is not expected to be making the case for those
Right.
things.
Right.
Like we're not laying out a logical
Right.
road to do it. I mean, the treasurer, the listers, all those folks, the select board should be weighing all these things.
So you're right, we don't even need that
No, I don't
information
think
for
we
this
do.
document. You're
Some
right.
I mean, it
people
would be
said, "Well, why
interesting
don't
to know it, but-
you make the case for it?" And I said, "Well, I don't think we need to.
Right.
Like, this document would be
for everything in here.
it would be 1,000 pages. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we've kind of just sort of narrowed in on some things, but
So you wanna meet on the 29th, then do you also want a meeting in early December?
only if needed.
Okay.
And the idea is, hopefully, with any luck, we can get this to the select board for their next regular meeting, and that way they can take action, which may mean starting to schedule the hearing. They can't operate outside a meeting. We can't just send it to them whenever.
Right. How far in advance do they need it?
Usually a week to get on the agenda.
Okay.
So I think we have basically
Can
two
it be on
opportunities.
the agenda even if they haven't yet gotten the
Final?
final?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. In any case, we have basically those. We have the 29th and the following week essentially to try to get something to them for December, I think.
Okay.
And
And you should
and if we don't make that for whatever reason, I honestly, we're not going to be working over the holidays. So like, I think we're basically just going to miss. I think.
Well, but we heard a lot of people who wanted to know how to make it happen tonight.
Right. So that's my suggestion, is that we try to get something to the select board for the next regular meeting.
Okay.
And I think, if we get our nose to the, grindstone, or whatever the saying is, on the 29th, either by the end of that night, or maybe at the end of that night, we could either have a version we are happy with at the end, or comfortable with at the end of that night, or we could be in a position where the next week we will. That's what I'm thinking.
Alright.
And then we can send that over. So a last thing I'll mention with 2 minutes remaining or so is that we had no discussion of maps, as far as I could tell.
Nobody seemed to care.
The only thing I could think of, and I have a little bit of a software issue on one of them, but there is a slight error in the way that none of you guys are going to care, but the way the contour lines are, the labels on the contour lines are drawn on the topo map isn't great. But nobody's going to give a shit about that.
And nobody's gonna notice.
If I can come up with a way to fix that in the interim, I'm going to try to do that. But there would be no changes to substance in that one.
Why don't you?
I don't have any other changes that I would even.
So
propose
here's
at
my
this point.
suggestion, that we get the language done and get our discussion of that language done before you try to do anything with that map. I
Yeah.
don't think it's a priority.
There's a bug in the software that won't let me do it right now, and I don't know if I'll be able to get that fixed anyway. And honestly, nobody's going to even notice the
Right.
difference. So, just and for me, it's like
A frustration.
well, when you make
Better to
your,
have a plan than a perfect plan.
yeah, your own error stands out. But all right, so
Move adjournment.
no, well, so what we're going to do is we're going to meet next in 2 weeks. At the end of this week, I will collect, and probably with Faith's help, collect the comments that we get. I'll try to incorporate them into a folder, which one of us will try to scan it in and distribute it to all of you, and start piecing together a proposal for you all to look at to address some of the changes. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you all. Marathon, and yeah, we're getting there. The final mile here. So
Just
meeting adjourned. Wait, we're still in?
No, just
Okay.
let you
Meeting
know.
adjourned.
Production services by Okemo Valley TV.